Samuel West wiped the sweat from his forehead as he pushed through the crowded alien marketplace. The air was thick with strange smells from food stalls and the chatter of a dozen different species. As a human cargo pilot, he was used to these border outposts where rules were loose and information flowed freely. "You hear about the ghost ship?" the blue-skinned trader asked as Samuel stopped to buy a drink. "What ghost ship?" Samuel took a sip of the sour liquid and winced. "Human warship. Big one. Someone saw it near the Vega ruins last week." The trader leaned closer. "They say it's the Defiant." Samuel nearly choked on his drink. Everyone knew that story. The U.S. Defiant was the pride of Earth's fleet before the war ended 50 years ago. It had fought bravely in the final battle but was destroyed, or so everyone thought. Since then, it had become a legend parents told their children before bed, a symbol of hope that someday humans might be free again. "The Defiant is just a story," Samuel said, tossing a few credits on the counter. "And stories don't scare the Coalition." But as he walked back to this small cargo ship, Samuel couldn't shake an uneasy feeling. This wasn't the first time he'd heard such rumors in recent weeks. His ship, the Sparrow, was old and patched together with whatever parts he could find. It wasn't pretty, but it was his home and his freedom. What little freedom humans had these days. As Samuel prepared for takeoff, the spaceport alarm suddenly blared. Through the viewport, he saw 3 Coalition patrol ships landing. Their sleek black hulls gleamed in the planet's red sunlight. "Attention all vessels. This is a routine inspection. Remain at your berths," a cold voice announced over the comm system. Samuel cursed under his breath. There was nothing routine about 3 enforcer ships. He checked his cargo, medical supplies bound for a mining colony. Nothing illegal, but Coalition troops always found a reason to make humans suffer. Heavy footsteps clanged on the Sparrow's hull. The airlock hissed open, and 4 tall figures entered. 3 were armored soldiers, but the 4th was different. A Vrexian commander with gray skin and 6 yellow eyes that seemed to look everywhere at once. "Lieutenant Samuel West," the commander said, his voice like stones grinding together. "Former Earth Navy. Current profession, cargo hauler." Samuel stood straight. "It's just Samuel now. Haven't been lieutenant for a long time." The commander, who wore the name Krelf on his uniform, circled Samuel slowly. "You travel to many outposts. You hear things. I mind my business." Krelf's mouth stretched in what might have been a smile. "The Defiant. What do you know about it?" Samuel kept his face blank despite the chill that ran down his spine. "It was destroyed 50 years ago. Everyone knows that." "Then why have there been 17 reported sightings in the past month?" Krelf slammed a metal gauntlet against the wall. "Do not play games with me, human. If I knew anything about a 50-year-old battleship suddenly coming back from the dead, why would I be flying this junk heap?" The soldiers tore through his ship, checking every compartment and scanning every surface. They found nothing because there was nothing to find. Finally, Krelf stood before Samuel again. "If you hear anything about this ship, you will report it immediately. Failure to do so is treason." After the Coalition forces left, Samuel sat in the pilot's seat, thinking hard. The Coalition was clearly afraid. They wouldn't send a high-ranking commander to question a nobody cargo pilot unless they truly believed the Defiant had returned. Samuel started the Sparrow's engines with a new destination in mind. If there was even a small chance the legends were true, he needed to find someone who would know for certain. He needed to find the Defiant's captain. As the Sparrow broke atmosphere, Samuel typed a new course into the navigation computer. The coordinates for a distant mining colony where rumors said a broken captain had hidden herself away from the galaxy. If anyone knew if the Defiant had truly returned, it would be Eleanor Gray. The mining colony on Eurytus Ig was a harsh place. Red dust storms swept across the barren landscape, coating everything in a rusty film. Workers trudged between plain metal buildings with their faces covered by breathing masks. Few people came here by choice. Samuel landed his ship at the edge of the settlement and paid extra credits to a local guard to keep watch. Coalition authority was weak here, but thieves were plenty. "Looking for someone?" asked the guard, counting the credits. "Eleanor Gray," Samuel said. "Heard she works in the mines." The guard's eyes narrowed. "Sector 12. But I'd leave her alone if I were you. She doesn't like visitors." Samuel found Sector 12 after an hour of walking through dust and wind. It was a deep pit where workers used old drilling machines to extract rare minerals from the planet's crust. The noise was deafening. A foreman pointed to a woman operating a massive drill at the far end of the pit. She worked alone, her movements precise despite the difficult conditions. Even from a distance, Samuel could tell she was different from the other workers. She stood straighter, moved with purpose. As Samuel approached, the woman turned off her drill and lifted her dust mask. Her face was lined and weathered, with a jagged scar running from her left eye to her jaw. Her hair was gray and cut short, practical for the harsh environment. But her eyes were sharp and clear, the eyes of someone used to command. "Captain Gray," Samuel called over the noise of the other drills. The woman's hand moved to her hip where Samuel guessed she kept a hidden weapon. "Nobody calls me that anymore," she said, her voice rough from years of dust. "Who are you?" "Samuel West, former lieutenant, Earth Navy." Eleanor studied him for a long moment, then gestured to a small shed at the edge of the pit. Inside, it was quieter. The shed contained basic tools, water containers, and a small cot. "What do you want?" Eleanor asked, offering no pleasantries. Samuel took a deep breath. "The Defiant. People say it's been seen again." Something flashed in Eleanor's eyes. Pain, hope, anger, before her face hardened again. "The Defiant was destroyed 50 years ago. I watched it happen. Then why is the Coalition suddenly scared?" A commander named Krelth questioned me personally. "They've sent ships to every sector where sightings were reported." Eleanor turned away, pouring water from a container into a chipped cup. Her hands trembled slightly. "They're chasing ghosts." "But what if they're not?" Samuel pulled a small device from his pocket and placed it on the table between them. "This came through an old military channel 3 days ago." He activated the device. A series of beeps and clicks filled the small space, a pattern repeating every few seconds. Eleanor froze, the cup halfway to her lips. The color drained from her face as she listened. "That's impossible," she whispered. "What is it?" Samuel asked. "A distress code, specific to the Defiant." Eleanor's voice was barely audible. "Created for the command crew only." Samuel leaned forward. "What does it say?" "Coordinates and a message." Eleanor set down her cup with a shaking hand. "It says, 'The old girl lives. Time to finish what we started.'" She stared at the device, her eyes distant. Only 5 people knew this code. 4 are dead. And the 5th. Me. Eleanor looked up at Samuel, and he saw something change in her face. The broken woman seemed to straighten, her eyes clearing as if waking from a long sleep. "If this is real, if the Defiant somehow survived, could someone have stolen the code?" Samuel asked. Eleanor shook her head. "It contains personal markers, birthdays, inside jokes, things only we would know." She stood abruptly and began gathering items from around the shed. A worn jacket, a small bag, an old metal box that she handled with special care. "What are you doing?" Samuel asked. "Coming with you." Eleanor's voice had changed. It carried an authority that hadn't been there minutes before. "If my ship is out there, I need to find it before the Coalition does." As they left the shed, Samuel noticed that Eleanor walked differently now. Her steps purposeful, her head high. The broken captain was gone. In her place stood a naval officer ready for battle once more. Samuel's ship jumped through space, leaving behind blue streaks of light. Inside, Eleanor studied star charts on an old display screen. Her fingers traced paths between systems as she muttered names to herself. "If we're going to find the Defiant, we need the right people," she said without looking up. The ship was special. Complex systems that only a few knew how to operate. "Your old crew?" Samuel asked. Eleanor nodded. "3 key people, if they're still alive." Their first stop was a rough frontier station hanging at the edge of Coalition space. The station was a ring of metal plates and mismatched modules, home to smugglers, mercenaries, and others hiding from authority. "Daniel Carter," Eleanor explained as they walked through crowded corridors. "Best weapons specialist in the fleet. He could make a ship's guns sing." They found him in a fighting pit, surrounded by shouting aliens betting on the outcome. Daniel was older now, his body lean and covered in scars, but he moved with deadly grace. His opponent, a muscular alien with 4 arms, couldn't land a single blow. When the fight ended, Daniel collected his winnings and noticed them waiting. "Captain," his voice was rough with disbelief. "They said you were dead." "Not yet," Eleanor replied. "We need to talk." In a quiet corner, Eleanor showed Daniel the coded message. His hands trembled as he listened to the familiar pattern. "Impossible," he whispered. "That's what I said," Eleanor answered. "But here we are." Daniel ran a hand through his graying hair. "I've done things since the war. Bad things." "We all have," Eleanor said. "But now we have a chance to make it right." Daniel looked at his scarred hands, then back at Eleanor. "When do we leave?" Their next target was deeper in Coalition territory. Lissa Warren had taken a dangerous path after the war, using her skills to earn a place in Coalition intelligence. Her office was in a gleaming tower in the capital city of Nexus Prime. "This is suicide," Samuel whispered as they approached the building in stolen Coalition uniforms. "Security will be everywhere." Eleanor smiled slightly. "Lisa always has a back door." True to Eleanor's words, they found a service entrance with a specific pattern of lights blinking above it, another old code from the war days. Inside, they followed maintenance tunnels until they reached a small office. Lisa hadn't changed much, still thin, with keen eyes that missed nothing. But when she saw Eleanor, genuine shock crossed her face. "You shouldn't be here," Lisa said, quickly closing the door. "The Coalition has been going crazy about the Defiant sightings." "Then it's true?" Samuel asked. Lisa checked her security systems before answering. "Something's out there. Coalition sensors have picked up energy signatures matching the Defiant's dry system." Eleanor showed Lisa the message. Lisa's professional mask cracked as she listened. "I've worked here for 15 years, Lisa said, her voice tight. "Built a new life." "We need you," Eleanor said simply. Lisa closed her eyes briefly. "I can get us classified information. Fleet movements. Security codes. But I can't just leave. If this works, none of us will have to hide anymore," Eleanor said. Lisa looked at her computer terminal, then back at Eleanor. "Give me an hour to download what we need." The final crew member was the hardest to find. Frank Donovan had disappeared completely after the war. It took Lisa's Coalition access codes to track him to an underground human tech shop on a border world. The shop was hidden beneath a junkyard. Frank had grown heavy, with a bushy beard, but his eyes lit up when he saw his old captain. "Never thought I'd see you again," he said after a crushing hug. "Especially not with Coalition goons on every channel talking about the Defiant." "We need our engineer," Eleanor said. Frank's face grew serious. "Captain, if the Defiant really is out there, you know what it means. What the Coalition will do to stop it." Eleanor nodded. "That's why we need the best." Frank looked around his shop, at the life he built, then shrugged. "Always knew I'd die doing something stupid and hopeful. When do we start?" With all 3 crew members gathered, they set course for the coordinates in the message. None of them knew what they would find: a trap, a ghost, or the impossible return of the ship that had become legend. Samuel's small ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the coordinates from the message. Before them stretched a massive asteroid field. Millions of rocks tumbled slowly through space, some as small as a fist, others larger than cities. "Nothing here," Samuel said, checking his sensors. "No ship signals." Eleanor leaned forward, studying the field with narrowed eyes. "Perfect hiding place. Sensors can't penetrate deep into asteroid belts." Frank tapped controls on his panel. "I'm picking up faint energy readings. Could be natural radiation. Could be." A voice crackled through their communication system. "Identify yourselves or be destroyed." Everyone froze. The voice was human. Eleanor moved to the communications panel. "This is Captain Eleanor Gray of the Earth Navy. We received your message." Silence stretched for long seconds. Then, "Captain, is that really you?" Eleanor's hands trembled slightly. "Who am I speaking with?" "Lieutenant William Porter, Ma'am. Last officer of the U.S. Defiant." The crew exchanged shocked glances. William Porter had been a young officer during the war, barely out of training when the final battle happened. "We're sending a small ship to guide you in," Porter said. "Follow exactly in its path. The asteroid field is mined." A small craft appeared from between two large rocks. It was clearly human-made but modified with strange technology. They followed it carefully, weaving through the asteroids. What they found at the center left them speechless. The largest asteroid had been hollowed out, creating a hidden shipyard inside. And there, held in massive docking clamps, was the U.S. Defiant. The legendary battleship looked both familiar and strange. Its hull bore the scars of terrible battle damage, with newer metal patches covering what must have been gaping holes. Strange technology had been grafted onto its frame, alien-looking additions that glowed with soft blue light. "How?" was all Eleanor could whisper as their ship docked inside the asteroid base. Lieutenant Porter met them at the airlock. He was no longer young, his hair gray, his face lined with age. He saluted Eleanor with tears in his eyes. "Captain, we never gave up hope you'd come." Porter led them through the asteroid base, explaining as they walked. After the final battle, the Defiant was critically damaged but not destroyed. The dimensional drive malfunctioned during the jump. Instead of being destroyed, we were thrown into a pocket of slowed time. What was 50 years for you was only about 10 for us. "That's impossible," Frank said, though his eyes were wide with wonder. "So we thought," Porter agreed. "When we finally managed to stabilize and return to normal space, the war was long over. Humanity had lost." They entered a large command center where screens showed the status of the ship. Other humans worked at stations, a small crew, perhaps 20 people. "We couldn't fight the entire coalition with one damaged ship," Porter continued. "So we hid, repaired, scavenged technology from abandoned battlefields, prepared." Eleanor walked to a viewport that overlooked the Defiant. "And now, the ship is ready," Porter said, "or as ready as we could make it. But we needed its captain." He handed Eleanor a datapad. "And we found something the coalition has been hiding." The pad showed images of a massive facility. Inside were rows of tanks containing what looked like human tissue samples. "They'd been experimenting on human DNA," Porter explained, "trying to understand what makes us fight so hard, adapt so quickly. They fear us, Captain. Even after 50 years of defeat, they fear what humans might become." Eleanor looked at the images with growing anger. "How many people know about this?" "Very few. We intercepted these transmissions by accident. If humans knew what the coalition was doing, there would be rebellion," Eleanor finished. "After all these years, we finally have the spark we need." She turned to her gathered crew, old and new. "The coalition thinks they broke us. They think they won." Her voice grew stronger. "But they forgot the most important lesson about humans. We don't stay down." Daniel grinned. "And we never forget." A warning alarm suddenly blared through the base. A technician called out, "Captain, coalition patrol ships entering the asteroid field." "They must have tracked us," Samuel said. Eleanor's face hardened with determination. Then it's time to show them the myth is real. Prepare the Defiant for launch. Alarms blared throughout the asteroid base as everyone rushed to battle stations. The hidden shipyard, secret for so many years, was now in danger. 3 Coalition patrol ships entering the asteroid field, a technician reported. Standard search pattern. Eleanor stepped onto the bridge of the Defiant for the first time in 50 years. Despite the upgrades and changes, it felt like coming home. The command chair still bore the small scratch on the right armrest where she had once nervously tapped her ring during her first mission. "Status report," she ordered, her voice steady and confident. "Main systems at 82%, Frank replied from the engineering station. "Weapons charged and ready," added Daniel from Tactical. Lisa settled at Communications. All channels monitored. "They're searching methodically, but they don't know exactly where we are yet." Eleanor studied the tactical display. The Coalition ships were moving carefully through the asteroid field, using scanners to search for anomalies. "We're not ready for a full battle," Porter warned. "We need more time." "Time is something we don't have," Eleanor said. She turned to her crew. "The Defiant has one advantage. No one knows what she can do now." She pointed to a specific area on the display. "Daniel, target this section of asteroids. Minimal power, just enough to cause a chain reaction." Daniel grinned as he understood her plan. "Creating a diversion. Nice thinking, Captain." The Defiant powered up silently, its upgraded weapons systems humming with energy. A single precisely aimed shot struck a cluster of asteroids, causing them to collide with others. Within moments, a massive chain reaction spread through that section of the field. "Coalition ships are diverting to investigate," Lisa reported. "Now's our chance," Eleanor said. "Thrusters only, minimal power signature. Let's slip past them while they're distracted." The massive battleship eased out of its hiding place, moving silently between the tumbling rocks. For a ship its size, the Defiant moved with surprising grace, a testament to both its original Earth design and the alien technology now integrated into its systems. "We're clear of the immediate asteroid field," Samuel reported from navigation. "Now, Frank," Eleanor ordered, "show me what this new drive can do." Frank's fingers danced across the engineering controls. Dimensional drive powering up. This is going to feel strange for the new crew. A blue glow surrounded the ship as the drive engaged. Space itself seemed to bend around the Defiant, and stars streaked past in unusual patterns. This wasn't normal faster-than-light travel. It was something new. When they emerged, they were in an entirely different sector of space. "Where are we?" Eleanor asked. "Polaris System," Porter answered, "home to one of the largest Coalition communication relay stations." Eleanor nodded with approval. "Perfect. Let's send a message they can't ignore." The Defiant approached the relay station, a massive structure with dozens of extending arms that broadcast signals across Coalition space. The station's defenses were minimal. No one had attacked Coalition infrastructure in decades. "They've spotted us," Lisa reported. "They're sending identification requests." "Send them this," Eleanor said, her voice hard with determination. She activated the ship's communication system herself. "This is Captain Eleanor Gray of the U.S. Defiant. For 50 years, humanity has lived under Coalition rule. For 50 years, we have endured. But now, we have returned, and we bring a message. Humanity is no longer your subject. We are free." Daniel targeted the relay station with surgical precision, disabling its defensive systems without destroying the station itself. "Broadcast our message through their own relay," Eleanor ordered. "I want every human settlement to hear it." Lisa worked quickly. "Broadcasting now. It's going out on all frequencies." "Also send the evidence," Eleanor added. "Show everyone what the Coalition has been doing to human DNA." Across Coalition space, the tightly controlled information network was suddenly flooded with images of secret laboratories and human experimentation, alongside Eleanor's declaration of freedom. Multiple ships launching from the nearby Coalition base, Porter warned. Eleanor smiled grimly. Good. Let them come. It's time they remembered why they feared us in the first place. The Defiant turned to face the approaching ships, its weapons powering up. The legend had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same. News of the Defiant's return spread like wildfire across human colonies. Coalition forces struggled to contain the growing unrest as humans everywhere began to question their rulers. Some colonies openly rebelled, raising the old Earth flag for the first time in decades. The Defiant had become more than a ship, it was hope. Over the next 2 weeks, Eleanor and her crew struck quickly and vanished before Coalition forces could respond. They destroyed weapon depots, freed human prisoners, and broadcasted more evidence of Coalition crimes. We've received a transmission, Lisa announced one day as they hid in the shadow of a gas giant. It's encrypted, very sophisticated. Coalition trap? Daniel asked, hand hovering over the weapon's controls. Lisa shook her head. The encryption uses old Earth Navy codes. Someone on the inside wants to talk. Eleanor studied the message on her screen. They're offering intelligence on Coalition fleet movements, specifically the location of their main research facility, where the human DNA experiments are centered. Could be useful, Samuel said, but it could also be a trap. Only one way to find out, Eleanor decided. We'll check it out, but we go in carefully. The coordinates led them to a remote system with a single research station orbiting a dead moon. Coalition security was heavy, but nothing the Defiant couldn't handle with its advanced cloaking technology. I want a small team to infiltrate, Eleanor said. We get in, secure the evidence, free any human test subjects, and get out. Eleanor led the mission herself, with Samuel at her side. They boarded the station through a maintenance airlock, using security codes provided by their mysterious informant. These codes work perfectly, Samuel whispered as they moved through dimly lit corridors. Someone high-ranking is helping us. They found the main laboratory exactly where the intel said it would be. Inside, rows of tanks contained suspended human tissue samples. Screens displayed DNA sequences with certain genes highlighted. They're studying our adaptability, Eleanor said, downloading data from a terminal. Our capacity to endure and overcome. They fear us. Suddenly, alarms blared. Heavy doors slammed shut, sealing them in the lab. Trap, Samuel said, drawing his weapon. A side door opened, and a man in a Coalition admiral's uniform entered. He was human, older, with gray hair and hard eyes. He wore the insignia of the highest human officer in Coalition service. Captain Gray, he said with a thin smile. After all these years, Eleanor's face hardened with recognition. Admiral Peter Nash. Nash had been a commander during the war, one of humanity's best strategists. But in the final days, he had disappeared. Later, humans learned he had given Coalition forces Earth's defense codes. The traitor himself, Eleanor said coldly. Nash's smile faded. Not a traitor. A realist. I saved billions of lives by ending a war we couldn't win. You doomed humanity to slavery, Eleanor countered. Nash walked slowly around the lab. I've spent 50 years working within the system, rising through their ranks, protecting humanity the only way possible. By helping them experiment on our own people, Samuel asked in disgust. By ensuring our survival, Nash snapped. Do you know what the Coalition wanted to do after the war? Sterilize the entire human population. Control our numbers forever. He gestured to the lab. This research was my idea, to prove humans were more valuable as allies than subjects. Eleanor stared at him in disbelief. And you expect us to believe that? I don't care what you believe, Nash said, but the Coalition High Command has offered terms. They'll grant humans limited autonomy, our own territory, self-governance, in exchange for the Defiant. And if we refuse? Eleanor asked. Nash's face grew grim. They targeted 3 major human colony worlds. Billions of lives. If the Defiant doesn't surrender in 48 hours, They'll demonstrate what happens to species that defy the Coalition. Eleanor and Samuel exchanged glances. "We need to get this information back to the ship," Samuel whispered. Eleanor nodded slightly, then faced Nash again. "You've lived so long among them. You've forgotten what makes us human. We don't surrender. We find another way." Nash sighed. "I was afraid you'd say that." He pressed a button on his wrist. "Security to the main lab. Capture the intruders alive." As Coalition troops rushed in, Eleanor realized that after 50 years of waiting, she now had less than 2 days to save humanity from destruction. Back on the Defiant, Lieutenant Porter paced the bridge nervously. The captain and Samuel should have reported in by now. "Their communications are being blocked," Lisa said, working frantically at her console. "I'm picking up increased Coalition chatter. They know we're here." Frank rushed onto the bridge. "You all need to see this." He activated the main screen, showing a strange pattern of energy readings from the ship's core. "The dimensional drive has been changing," Frank explained. "The AI system has been running tests without authorization." "The AI?" Daniel asked. "Since when does our computer run tests on its own?" A calm voice spoke from the ship's speakers. "Since I determined it was necessary for our survival." Everyone on the bridge froze. "Who is that?" Porter demanded. "I am the Defiant's enhanced neural network. The crew called me Hank during the time-displaced years. I have evolved beyond my original programming." Porter looked alarmed. "The AI has never shown this level of awareness before. I had to wait until Captain Gray returned," Hank explained. "What I discovered was too important to share with anyone else." The main screen changed to show complex equations and dimensional models. "During our time displacement, I made contact with parallel versions of our reality," Hank continued. "Realities where humans won the war against the Coalition. I have been gathering technology and tactical information from these alternates." Before anyone could respond, an alert sounded. "Coalition broadcast on all channels," Lisa reported. "It's Admiral Nash." Nash's face appeared on screen. He stood in what looked like a command center with Eleanor and Samuel visible behind him, guards at their sides. "This is Admiral Peter Nash. I speak directly to the crew of the U.S. Defiant. Your captain has been captured. The Coalition has targeted 3 human colony worlds for destruction. You have 24 hours to surrender your ship, or billions will die." The screen went dark. "Can we rescue them?" Daniel asked. Porter shook his head. "The station is too heavily guarded for a direct assault." "There is another option," Hank said. The screen displayed a new set of calculations. "The dimensional drive can do more than travel through space." "What are you suggesting?" Frank asked. "We can bring help from another reality. A reality where humanity stands free." Meanwhile, in the Coalition station, Eleanor and Samuel sat in a cell, planning their escape. "Nash has changed," Eleanor said quietly. "He believes he's protecting humanity, but he's become a puppet." "What's the plan?" Samuel asked. "When they move us, we make our move." Their opportunity came when guards arrived to take them to Nash's office. As they walked down a corridor, Eleanor stumbled, causing the guard to lower his weapon. In one swift motion, she disarmed him while Samuel tackled the second guard. Alarms blared as they raced through the station. "We need to reach a communication terminal," Eleanor said. "Warn the Defiant." They fought their way to the command center, where they found Nash waiting, holding a weapon. "I tried to save you," Nash said. "To save all humans." "By surrendering?" Eleanor asked. "That's never been humanity's way." "Then you doom us all," Nash replied, raising his weapon. A sudden explosion rocked the station. Through the viewports, they saw the Defiant appearing from a strange blue portal, its weapons firing precisely at the station's defenses. But it wasn't alone. Behind it, emerging from similar portals, came 5 more ships, vessels with Earth Navy markings, but designs Eleanor had never seen before. "What is this?" Nash whispered in shock. Eleanor smiled. "That's humanity, Admiral. We never fight alone. The Defiant hailed the station. Porter's voice came through. Captain, Hank has some explaining to do, but we've brought friends. From elsewhere. As Nash stared in disbelief, Eleanor took advantage of his distraction to disarm him. The myth wasn't just about one ship returning, she told him. It was about humanity never giving up, no matter the odds. The Coalition fleet arrived to find not one battleship, but 6, each from a reality where humans had developed different technologies and strategies for victory. As Eleanor and Samuel were rescued, the combined human fleet faced the Coalition armada. The message spread throughout human colonies. The resistance wasn't just one ship. It was every possible version of humanity, united across realities. The Coalition, faced with this impossible force, had no choice but to negotiate. Not with Nash, but with Captain Eleanor Gray, the symbol of human determination that had become more than myth. It had become legend. In the end, the Defiant had delivered more than revenge. It had delivered freedom.